Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to another Wednesday. We're going to be painting some Kroot today. I'm going to be painting these little guys. This is one that I've already started kind of painting up here. And we're going to be painting a couple other guys. But we'll get to those. How is everybody doing? Looks like we've got Taylor and Mummaline. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're going to go ahead and get Stream Raiders started. Because why not? I wonder if Stream Raiders will have sound this time. I didn't do anything to correct the sound, so it's possible it won't. Sounded like it had sound. Right. Yeah, so basically I've got these Kroot guys, and we're gonna start out a different way than I normally do. It's gonna be kind of the same way that I did this guy, where basically we're starting out with acrylic paint. How's it going, Rubik's Cube? You're a local nice guy. Welcome in, welcome in. But yeah, we're gonna be painting up some Kroot. I've got 4 different guys all ready to go, but the crazy thing is, whoops. So I have this guy. Finally got to jump in for a few. Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna be painting with oils today. So, well, I say that every time, and it's probably not gonna change anytime soon. Especially with what I've learned here and what I'm gonna be kind of sharing. But this is kind of my test Kroot, and actually, just to get a better view of it. So this is the test Kroot that I have gone through and painted up in oils. Still have to finish up the guy up here, and then I'm going to go through and do a little bit of like touch-ups in acrylic once it dries. This is the base style that I'm going to go for. So I've got like tree roots, I've got some kind of moss stuff going on, and some of them will have more kind of forest plants, things like that, some ferns coming off of them, but just a nice little base here. Nice. Got too much on my plate to try and learn oils right now. I get that. The funny thing is, like at Adepticon, I was pretty adamant that I would not try out oils. But the more I like saw people doing oils, the more I was like, you know what? Why don't I just try it and see what I think of oils? And yeah, now that I've done that, I've been stuck. Working on painting right now, but I may be down for glue at some point. I thought you brought the glue. I don't know where the glue is. I don't know. It's somewhere. Oh, it's on my computer. So I do have a palette cam. Of course, I think I hit it, and it's also not anywhere near the color level that it needs to be. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. It's like struggling to. All right, that's a little bit closer to what I'm seeing there. started on my commissions for board game pieces that I picked up. Nice. A small cheap set that I want to learn with. I think that's the best way to go through and do it, is start with a cheap set and kind of go from there. I do need to go and switch. Yeah. Alright, so we're starting out with a little bit of this Lucas Oil Permanent Green Light. They're not my favorite brand because they are the water-soluble stuff that doesn't quite work as well as you might hope. And we're going to go in with a little bit of Naples Yellow Hue. Today was a long work day, and I don't want to go back tomorrow. I was able to stay home today, so I did not have nearly the day I could have had. I'm going to go ahead and throw some of this, the Brilliant Yellow Extra Pale, on the palette as well. And I think that might be everything that I need. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take this green, take some of it, drop it right in here. And I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow hue, and that's where we're going to get kind of our base skin tone from these guys. That bright, vibrant green mixed with a yellow hue. A little bit of that, a little bit more of that. Get this kind of like mossy green that you can't really see because I needed to figure out my palette cam a bit. Yeah, you can't really see it. Alright, now I'm going to grab one of my filbert brushes. So we are starting out with with no pre-glaze on these. So we're just doing the dry brushing technique. I'm going to go in here with a mid-tone that is a little bit, generally a little bit darker than what I'm looking for normally from the mid-tone. I'm just going to come in here and dry brush it on. And not get my head in the way. I'm just getting a little bit on the brush and going through and dry brushing it on. Not super worried about covering up the that green. It's a dark yellow green from Pro Acryl was my sort of base color that I'm working on here. Not worried about covering it up. We're just worried about getting some of this color on here. Of course, this guy is a little bit wobbly on his quart. So one of the reasons why I like this over the pre-glaze, one, the pre-glaze was very difficult to kind of, there were a lot of areas that you had to get a little bit fancy with to try to get the pre-glaze out of. That was a bit of a frustration that I don't have to deal with doing it this way. The other reason why I've found that I like this way better is because I can work on one section at a time. And if I have to stop for any reason, I'm not worried about like the whole mini, like that whole pre-glaze that I did drying out. Say I have to stop for a couple days and I don't get back to it, that pre-glaze is going to dry, and then I'm just using it as basically the same as this green anyways. I don't have it to where I can mix it in like I did the first day. So doing it this way, I don't have to worry about that. I'm at a level that I want to be at. I've noticed that I get more vibrant pieces whenever I do it that way. Should have started with the acrylic paints. Probably. Is it like just significantly easier? Oh yes. So I'm just worried about getting some coverage on the skin. Then I'm going to move over to the next guy, go through and do the same color down. This guy is going to give me a lot of trouble. I can already tell. I might have to go pop him off this and like glue him into the cork. Just so he's a little bit more stable. The other guys have a lot longer bits into the cork, so for anybody that is curious, so the base coat here is of course that dark yellow green from Pro Acryl. There's no varnish on that dark yellow green. I hear a lot of talk and stuff like that about how paint thinner will eat away at your acrylic paint level layer, stuff like that. So if you do any painting of oils over acrylic paint, you gotta do this and that, and you don't. 100% you don't. I could probably soak this thing in paint thinner, like my Mona Lisa paint thinner that I use. I could probably soak it overnight, and it would not affect this acrylic paint. So if you're worried about that, don't be. It will not affect your acrylic layer. I'm not too worried about like it being a little bit splotchy in places, stuff like that. Here I'm probably sitting here painting with my head in the way. Not worried about it being a little bit splotchy. Like I said, we're gonna go back through and we're gonna do some blending that's going to kind of cut that out. We're just going with like the littlest bit on our brush. Going through and just dry brushing away. I think the thing I find like super cool about this method is very similar to if you were to go through and take a dry brush and just dry brush acrylic paint across a mini and paint it that way. You did all your layers in dry brush. You'd actually get a pretty decently painted piece. I know there's actually a couple people that go through and do that. Where this kind of whole style actually is super beneficial in oils is once I'm done with that, I can then go through and I can blend everything again. So I can blend out all the areas that are going to have a little bit of extra texture, stuff like that. How's it going, Arl? Welcome in, welcome in. Completed my most recent project with 2 whole days to spare. Nice. I don't really have a time on my my projects, which is probably a good thing. Forget these guys don't have pants. I'm like sitting there looking at it like, oh yeah, that area is pants. It's not. Kroot don't wear pants. It's an assassin enemy for Oathsworn. Very fun getting to use the Amber Gem effect again. Nice. Alright, so that is 3 of the 4 guys so far with this initial dry brush step. Silver base layer, contrast orange, yellow over time, really thin. I still have yet to really use contrast paints. Like I've used one single speed paint. I've made contrast and speed paints many times, but that was something that I've done before even realizing that those other paints existed. And so I always found it just a little bit easier to go through and make something that does what I expect the contrast and speed paints to do, and not purchase something that does the, I guess, the same thing, just a little bit different. I guess that's cloth of sorts. Probably don't need to. So, Arlo, are you playing Oathsworn with people? Bought the Speed Paint Mega Pack or Mega Kit, and I have a scattered collection of contrasts because Oathsworn has a new enemy every session, 2 weeks. Find using those is able to get well past the good enough and into the pretty good without too much extra time. 100%. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And that's ultimately that's what they're there for. Like that's what they're built for. They're built for somebody that wants to just kind of have something that looks good and they don't have to go through and spend a million hours blending and for that they do a fantastic job. I mean, Crucial Blue does a lot of like contrast and speed paints, and then goes in and does like detail from there. Like that's kind of his main. All right, so we got 4 Kroot all dry brushed up. Originally was a 4-player game, now a 3-player game since one of the players passed back in December. That's no fun, but at least you do have a group. I don't have a group that really plays anything. Like we tried sparking up some stuff to play around here, but just never really amounted to anything. All right. So next thing we're doing, we're adding a little bit of Naples yellow, as well as a little bit of white to that mixture. And I kind of want to go a little bit lighter with this. I want it to go through and mix with what's underneath to get to the color that I want it to be. The brown they use in the kit is definitely redder, but I like the dark brown better, honestly. Sounds good. I also have a redder dark brown, or redder browns, burnt sienna. And once Oathsworn is done in roughly August, we're going to find a 4th player again and play some other big board game. One buddy has like 4 big campaign board games and never played them. Nice. All right. So going with this color. And we're kind of just focusing more of these kind of topmost areas. I want to focus the head, the shoulders, and then kind of work my way down, because as I work my way down, the oils will mix in the brush and it'll get darker as I go down. So I can kind of naturally get a good gradient on these. Oops. That's right, I was going to glue him in. Forgot about that. All right, it's going to move over to the next one. Doesn't really matter which order I go in with these guys. Due to the dry brushing quickness nature, there's significantly less paint on the model, so things do set a lot faster. So since I'm working with 2 or 4 different models, by the time I get one model done, the one that I did before that will be pretty much set to a point where I can play around with it. To the next one here. And always starting with the head, the shoulders, and any of these limbs that are kind of like popping out that will catch light first. If you make something a little too light, that's okay. We'll go back through and be able to kind of take that down a notch. It's one of our next steps is to go through and adjust shadows and take care of areas that got a little too light. whole arm on this guy. And a foot. He only has 1 foot. How did I miss him? He's only got 1 foot. Alright. So we got that. I'm going to go ahead and rinse off this brush here. We're going to do the Stream Raider battle. Stream Raiders battle. It is just me in the Stream Raiders battle. But I'm gonna do my best, guys. How's it going, Slovic? Welcome in, welcome in. Are you seriously just gonna like wait until either you die or all these guys come to you? Yeah, you are. Alright, we're gonna kick up another one of these. All right. How's it going, Slovic? So we are working on those Kroot. I'm only 2 layers of paint in. So I started off with basically something like this. This is just dark yellow green. Not a whole lot going on with the skin tone there. Let me pull that guy off. That wasn't what I wanted to do, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and get this guy pinned up here, and I'll kind of show you, because I was saving a guy off to the side here, just in case you were able to make it here, because I know you wanted to see the process that I'm doing here. So we've got, in here, we've got a little bit of this permanent green light, Naples yellow, and then some brilliant yellow extra pale. So this is what we're using in our more highlighted area down here. But these 2 colors mixed gets us this. I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to grab a little bit on the brush. And so this is no pre-glaze, nothing. I'm basically just going to come in here and I'm going to dry brush in this color. So we're going to hit these areas. We're going to get some in the little eye sockets, because I know that there's that's a metal eye socket, so we're not going to worry about that. Just going through and dry brushing, kind of retapping in here if I need a little bit more. Just right over the acrylic. No varnish, no nothing, just right over that acrylic. Hoping I got to go to the interactive aquarium next month with one of my students as a field trip, but I won't get to, so either gotta do sometime, take Maeve, or just go as part of a date night or day. I would kind of prefer to take Maeve, because I think she would love it. Yeah, anywhere that there's skin, I'm going through and doing this dry brush. I'm not worried about covering up all of the dark yellow, green. Yeah, dark yellow, green. Some areas where I got a little too crazy with it, like up here in this area, again, we're not terribly worried about it. It'll be okay because I will just go, I'll probably have to add a little bit more shadow in that area. But that's a later step. So right now we're just trying to get the skin color up to the level that we want it. And then we'll worry about getting the skin color back down. Parents have passes. I hope they don't try to take her. I assume if they have passes, they probably are thinking about it. But she is also, like, pretty much close to 2, and I can promise you she probably wants to go multiple times. It'll be a new experience. Alright, so that is number 1. Step number 1. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab a little bit of this lighter color. So this is the mixture of basically this with a little bit of more Naples yellow and a little bit of this brilliant yellow extra pale. And I'm going to focus, I'm going to start by hitting up in the head. I'm always going to try to get the brighter areas in the head and then worry about shoulders next and then outstretched limbs. So since this limb is kind of a little bit outstretched, we're going to hit that. His shoulders are kind of covered a bit here. Go ahead and get this hand. And then as we start to go down towards the feet of the model, this previous green and some other green, or well, I guess just the previous green, is going to mix, and we're going to get darker, like a darker gradient over time as we keep going down the model here. So that's step number 2. That's what we've done to get to these guys, right? And then my next one, they tend to look a little bit green at this stage. So the next thing that I want to do is I actually want to take a little bit of this Naples yellow with some of this brilliant extra pale. Wipe out all this excess because I used the wrong brush to mix stuff with. And I tend to use the palette to kind of limit how much paint is on my brush. And we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to focus this. Oop, that is a little bit too much paint on that brush. I'm going to focus this in the head area. Shoulders and outstretched limbs. And this is only going to go on the front of the model. I don't really want to pull it towards the back of the model. If I do, it's going to be just like the back on the side a bit, but we're going to come do this on the next model. I still haven't glued to this. It's just a series of dry brushes. It's nothing fancy. Series of dry brushes that start from the top and work their way down. Each time kind of going up in color. You want to go a little lighter than the color you're looking for because you are going to blend it in. Yeah, I forgot this guy. I didn't even paint his legs. I gotta go get some paint on his legs and go through and finish that up. So like one of the reasons why I'd mentioned one of the reasons why I liked this sort of process a lot better than previous, like the other processes, is with the pre-glaze you're going through and you're coating oils in the whole entire model, and I felt like I had to complete that model within 2 days. Like I felt like I needed to do that, or else the pre-glaze would become virtually useless. So if you only painted, say, a couple hours in a week, oil painting was difficult with the pre-glaze. But with this, it's perfectly fine because I'm just worried about, like, I only have wet paint on the areas that I'm working on. So I could get to a point where, say, I get the skin done today, but I decide to switch to something else another day. And like I can wait a week. If that's like the next time I can get to it, I can wait a week and I'm not worried about, oh man, my pre-glaze is gone. So I don't have the same consistency as other places. I just go kind of pick up where I left off and all right. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a brush here. This is just a clean brush, nothing on it. And I'm going to go through and just start blending stuff. So we're going to come through exact same method where I'm just going through and kind of tapping through stuff. Blending these areas together, smoothing out some of the brush strokes that came up in my painting. This is also where, while you're going through and doing this, you're in a way covering up that acrylic layer, but you can see that that acrylic layer technically still stays there. It's just only a little bit of that oil paint as you're going through and tapping out and blending. A little oil paint goes over it, leaving it in a way blended like you would with the wet oil paints, but maybe not as perfectly smooth. But since it's just small areas, time to mindlessly play Sims. My brain no comprehend building instructions, and I have painted what I can paint. Stupid bugs. I hate bugs. I want them gone. Yep. So we're just going through, continuing to blend. This is where all those like super bright areas will actually kind of get a bit toned down because we're blending them out. It's one of the reasons why you should always kind of go a little brighter. In areas that you forgot to paint, kind of like I forgot to paint the side, one side of his face here. You can always leave the excess that's on your brush and go through and do the same blend. And the day at school really had me frustrated. I got to decompress and get ready for tomorrow because it's a new day. And teachers for putting up with parents and troublesome kiddos. Yeah. And she has to come home and deal with me. Granted, that one's her own fault. Does the color of acrylic matter? I feel like it does. I did it over black, and black kind of showed really weird. Whereas in certain instances, black would be fine. I could probably do this over brown, and it would look really good. But I will be doing one potentially Friday if I can get him built and like pretty much ready to paint. He's got a lot of gap filling that I need to go through and do, which is actually something that I can stop real quick and showcase. But like with the guns, So the guns on all of these, I went through, so on this guy, I went through and I actually painted the gun with a navy gray, or not navy gray, with a neutral gray, because it seemed weird. Like I went through and I started to do, um, the green, and I could see the green kind of underneath all of it, and it just didn't seem right. It didn't look right. So I would say yes. So I'm trying to figure out where to put this guy. He still does have a little bit of wet paint on him. I don't want him just like sitting there. I want him at least standing up. Alright, so let's go ahead and show off what I will potentially be working on Friday. We will see. I'm still in the process of building him. There's a lot of gap filling, things like that I'm going to have to go through and do. And let's see. Go a little bit bigger here. So I've got this guy, this lovely, gigantic Rakshasa guy from Parabellum War Games. He came in today. So I started working on him. He does have a lot of areas that have big sort of like gaps and stuff like that I have to go through and figure out. Like right in here, that's a giant gap that I have to go and figure out. This is what I was wanting them to send me. They also sent me the gens, the like wind gens. So this guy's got like a giant flame thing coming out of his back. You got the Rakshasa Bakasura and the Rakshasa Ravenar. Oops. You can't even see those because they're reflecting light. Yeah. So for this guy, I feel like because he has so much going on, I'm going to have to go through and do like almost a base coat of stuff. I'm going to have to go through an acrylic paint base coat across this guy in certain areas because like the fur itself, I actually want it to go one certain way, but that undertone of like that base acrylic layer, it's just gonna look weird if it's something else. There we go. All right. Yeah, they sent some pretty cool stuff. I liked that model while we were at like Adepticon. I was talking to them about that model and the gens. I thought both were super cool. I actually like the gens a lot better than I like the Ifrit. But I knew they wanted to do a challenge based off of the models that were already like that were coming out early. And so waiting for the gens wasn't something that we could do. So one thing that I notice here is these guys are still pretty green. And it's not a bad thing that they're a little on the greener side, but I want them to be want them to have a little bit more brown and everything in them. So kind of more of a brownish green. We're going to accomplish that by when we come through and we actually add in a shadow color here in some of these recesses and areas. I'm going to drop in a little bit of asphaltum and start mixing that in. And we'll notice that green goes from being like a vibrant sort of green into kind of being a little bit more of a muddy, swampish looking green, which is kind of what I'm going for. I didn't get any paint on there, so I'm trying to use some of the excess paint that I am getting on this brush to instead add a little bit of paint to the rest of them. The other person that's missing this is old Cheese Whiz. He was wanting to know how I did the skin tone of these guys because he wants to do something similar. He's got an orc beast boss from it's actually a Station Ford Orcaz beast boss, but he wants to utilize the skin tone in something. So he's probably going to be doing it in oils.
Your wife can hang out with me anytime. This is awesome.
Pretty sure if my wife hung out with you, um, you might be going to a loony bin because you are my wife, and that would mean that there's two of you. Should have gone there a long time ago. So for anybody that doesn't know, this little warband that I'm doing here, this kill team, will actually be for sale at some point in time. So this is a commission for me, but I am being commissioned to paint up stuff for Old Cheese Whiz's store. And so these models will be for sale on his store. If you like what you see here, you can kind of keep watching the progress as they form, and then you might just be able to snag them somewhere. I do want to get the large box, the new Kroot box. And I want to paint them, but I don't want them to be like normal Kroot. I want them to be very different. But that's just who I am. I don't mind box art and things like that, but I don't generally paint box art. Like, I don't paint something based on box art. So likely what I'll do is build my own lore for whatever Kroot box I end up getting. We're going to finish going through and blending all this stuff, and then we'll go take care of that Stream Raiders battle. And having some of these guys be a little lighter, a little darker, is actually kind of a good thing, because if you look at the box that they come in, you've got some that are a little bit more of like a yellowish, some that are more green, so they are not all the exact same skin tone, which I really appreciate in the box art for this. Like, I feel like everything is just identically painted in a lot of other stuff, and I feel that this box art did a great job of having a nice, like, diversified color scheme. That's probably why I started with this whole entire group. All right. Let's go ahead and do this Stream Raiders battle. Have a good night, Poop. Thank you for the lurk. They're like the longest battles. Right. Beansy and Carol Mata. Alright. So, next step. I want to make sure this guy, yep, he's nice and secure on here. Now, we've got some asphaltum here. This is kind of a dark brown. Can't see it because it's on this part of the palette. But a little dark brown here. We're going to go in, and now I'm going to go in here in some of these areas, and I'm going to drop in little bits of dark brown. It's okay if I get a little bit goopy with it in some places, because we are going to go through and continue to blend this out a bit. Right now we're just kind of placing it in some places and worrying about it whenever I go through and blend it out. Another thing that we will do at some point in time is we're going to go through with a pen line wash of this asphaltum. And that's going to do most of the like separation of all the different items. This one we kind of want to focus on areas like in the face, stuff like that. Face, as we continue to do this, does get lighter and lighter, and you lose a bit of the shadow. So right now we're just kind of dropping in some shadow into some places. And we'll go through and mix it in and throughout. Once we go through and do the shadow, then we'll go through and do our like topmost highlight, the most highlighted part, and then we will move on to something else. Because we do have to let it set a little bit before we can do a pen line wash. I've noticed that if I do one too quickly, it gets a little bit weird. Slovak, thank you for the entry there. Let me go ahead and get you added to another one added for you. You are now up to 4. For anybody that doesn't know what that is, I do run a giveaway started this month. I'm giving away a model. It is actually my first oil painted miniature, like the first one that I finished. So it is pretty neat. I really like the way that he turned out. This is using the old method with the pre-glaze, so you can kind of see it's a little bit muddier. um, compared to something that I've done with this current method. So there's a lot more kind of like weird blending in this one, whereas this one, it's a little bit more crisp, a little bit better. Did you answer that question about pre-glazing with asphaltum? What? Oh, so why is this better than, say, starting with pre-glaze of asphaltum? Because, so from what I've noticed, this is purely what I've noticed, is the asphaltum, if you go through and you pre-glaze with asphaltum, you will end up having like this darker color underneath, which is, sorry, that both have a darker color underneath, but one is oil, one is acrylic. That oil one, that dark color will kind of bleed into and be mixed in with like the next layer, and it'll start to kind of bring that color down a bit. I found that doing it this way, I'm able to get more vibrant colors because I'm not trying to overcome a darker color that's mixing in with the mini. I'm, in a way, blending that color in, so it's still being utilized. It's just not as in your face, I guess. Like that was my biggest problem, is I would go through and I would pre-glaze, and like all of my minis were super dark, and I didn't know how to get it to come up. Even using like radiant colors, it still came off really dark. Whereas this, I can instantly get to a brighter point and then work the shadows in afterwards. So the ability to target the darker colors is the biggest boost. Yeah, 100%. Like what I'm doing now is I'm taking this asphaltum and I'm just dropping it into a few little places, and it is heavily targeted. It is exactly kind of where I want that darker boost. And then I will be going through and doing like a pen line wash to help separate out some of the areas and add an additional shadow in there. But again, that's something that's a little bit more targeted than that paint being in every single crack and crevice. Let's see. So this guy was done. I'm trying to remember if this guy was done this way or with the pre-glaze. Yeah, he was done this way. So I was able to get brighter colors here. I started off darker with him. I was able to get brighter colors here than I probably would have if I would have started with Prussian blue. But because I started with that dark jade, I was able to get a little bit brighter colors. Whereas like this guy, yes, I've got some brighter in there, but I've also got a little bit of like messier. That blue kind of leached into some weird areas that it was a little bit more difficult, and I was sitting there trying to play around with that color to get a better brighter color. And this is just extremely quick compared to slapping on a pre-glaze, waiting 20 minutes, and then going through and wiping all of it away. I don't have to worry about that. All right, so now we're gonna go through and actually we're not gonna do that on that guy. We're gonna do it on this first guy. That way I'll let it set just a little longer here. See, now I can go through and I can just blend that in. I can come up here to this top part where I also put some of that. Blend some of that in. I definitely like just being able to jump straight into painting. It one helps stream out a bit because it's like what do I do with pre-glaze cure, like the time it takes for the pre-glaze to actually kind of work in there and have the ability to stain. And so I was going through and like having to figure out how to waste time. That's not really what I want to do on stream. I want to paint on stream. You'll notice I'm not just hitting the areas that I hit with the brown. I'm actually going over some of the highlighted areas as well, because I want this brown to kind of mix in with other areas that were a little too green, a little too bright green there. Still remains brighter, but it has a little bit of a tinge of that like brownish green to it. Missed that guy, apparently. Working on 5 of these guys is a little bit outside my norm. So I would say ability to target shadows a little bit better, and the speed at which like the painting actually happens are some of the bigger points for doing it this way. Yeah, skipping that 20-minute wait is definitely nice. It's funny because I saw Wapple doing this, and I was like, no, there's no way that, like, what about the pre-glaze? Everybody talks about the pre-glaze, and I was very adamant that, like, I was going off of what everybody talked about. But I'm sitting here going, for army painting, 100% this is the way to go. Like, I could see for, like, if you're doing a bust or something of that sort and you wanted to keep doing the pre-glaze, I could see that being a huge, like, a very different beast. But doing these smaller models... Hey, bub, just stopping in to say hi before I put my mom to bed. Minnie, not mom. LOL, she puts herself to bed. I was about to say, I was pretty sure that her mom could put herself to bed. I know I haven't gone and seen you guys in a bit. Minnie, not butt. She puts herself to bed. As far as I'm aware, the Neens is doing pretty good. She's feeling rough, but only due to the chemo. Yeah. Neens is doing all right, and yeah, she's been in here. Mostly it's just to say hello, and then I think they go into kind of a lurk. I have not. Okay, we'll get you back in here, Slovak. We'll get you back in here more regularly. So one of these days, just need to go have like a hobby session where you are. Like I wish it was closer, just so it was just kind of like a, because honestly, if it was a 4 hour drive to go hang out in hobby, I would definitely be like, hey, what about if we hung out this Saturday, sort of a thing, and made a trip out of it? Like 100% would be something to do. Yeah, it's a far drive or far flight. Not close. I think the suckiest part is there's people around here that are interested in what I do painting wise, but aren't interested in like painting themselves. And so they're interested in seeing the process. Whereas like I know you want to paint, and I think having like a sit down session where you just hang out and paint would be like super beneficial for you. Say if it was 8 or under, we could meet halfway and find a place to meet up and paint. Did you hear, Slovak, that Adepticon has moved? Yes, it was on the Discord, but hopefully there is a slightly larger hobby section there. Maybe I'll just start streaming and we can multi-stream. Yeah, we can do that. That's a whole nother beast. Oh my goodness. Like I don't even know how I would explain to somebody how to get started streaming, because I'm a year in and I'm still like I'm trying to help old Cheesewas out with his stream, and like granted all the stuff that he's looking at is stuff that I did, but like there's extra stuff that I still just haven't gotten around to looking into. So I have noticed that on occasion, if something is too light and I can't seem to get enough darkness in there, I can go tap over into that asphaltum. So I can just do like a real quick tap, wipe off, and then I can get more darkness in there quickly while I'm doing my blending. So, how's it going, Godzilla Nid? Welcome in. Alright, we did skip this guy. So I need to go through and drop in that asphaltum in here. Kroot are looking nice, thank you. Yeah, we're slowly working them up to look like this guy here. So we're working them, getting them to that level, and once I can get everybody up to that level, I'll go through and get them all on some custom bases, everything like that, and then we will send them out to Old Cheese Whiz, where they will actually be for sale. This is a commission for Old Cheese Whiz. He commissioned me to paint some stuff for his shop. So they will be on his shop for sale. They will come with all of my sort of information and everything, so that if you wanted any further items painted, say you got them and you're like, oh my goodness, these are fantastic, I want a whole entire Kroot army painted by this guy, it'll have my information there so that you can easily go through and do that. A Kroot army might be expensive, just saying, but it'll look good. Have a good night, Texas Lion. Just needed some good-looking basing material. So I went through and I built out a base for one of these guys. I can't put him on it right now, but this is the base that I did for one of the guys. And it's just got like a true root kind of going through. That's for this guy here. So he's going to be standing on it like that. And I wanted him a little bit raised up because everybody else is standing like super freaking tall. I mean, Kroot are tall. So he's going to be up a little bit to be more like along this line, whereas everybody else will be down a little bit more. So that was kind of my thought. Yeah, Kroot. More and more Kroot. How are you doing, Kelsey? Models alone, lol. What? What is? What? Supposed to be the worst dollar per point of anything GW so far. Huh. But they're cool. How's it going, Zachariah? Alright, so we added a little bit of that asphaltum. For anybody that doesn't know, I do... lately, I've been working a lot in oils, so these are oil painted as well. One of the glorious things about oil paints is that I can go through here with a nice clean brush and just go through and tap into some of these areas, and it blends it. It just goes through and blends it together. So this is a way that we're kind of chasing back this sort of vibrant green I've got going on. I do want a little bit more of a brownish green in the skin tone. I can just go through here and I can just tap, 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 and it just goes through and blends it all. I missed that whole entire leg. Getting ahead of myself on these guys. Do you like the tap to blend? It's just very fun. It is very fun. Like, I thought it was going to be difficult. I don't know why I thought it was going to be difficult, because seeing people do it, you're just taking like the side of your brush and you're just going through and you're tapping, and it gets rid of the brush strokes. It starts to blend things together. Do arting on stream, some from home, some from Game Store. What you're doing is witchcraft. Absolutely witchcraft. We like witchcraft here. I went from not being able to blend with acrylic paints to being able to blend within seconds using oils. So I fully accept the oil witchcraft. The person who does the witchcraft the best is Waffle. Like I do pretty well. Not gonna lie. Like tomorrow will be my third week in oils. My third week messing around with this medium. So they're already the level that I can paint to in oils is insane to me. And it's purely just pushing, like having an issue, learning how to deal with the issue, continuing to push forward. And that's that's how I got to where I am. Oh no, I'm the only person here. This is gonna be fun, especially because I chose a rogue. I think. Go sneaky dude, go. Second one I lost today. I need all these things to stop telling me that there's updates, because I don't care. Alright. So we're kind of... Oh yeah, we have one more thing to do with the skin. The skin, we do want to brighten it up just a little bit more. So we're going to go through... Rinse off the brush. And we're just gonna come in here. We're gonna worry about areas that are gonna get hit by light. Try not to put too much on the model at this stage here. So I do have a fun little new toy that we get to play around with on possibly Friday. It depends on how long it's going to take me to do all the gap filling and stuff for the new toy. But I got a package in today from Parabellum Games. They're the makers of Conquest. If you've watched me, Crucial Blue, Chimera, any of those guys, you probably saw the Ifrit. In that same army, they have a Rakshasa. And I am currently going through and building this guy up. Let me do a little fancy trickery here. going through and building this guy up, I went with the lovely little tiger head for the Rakshasa, but he's got that. He's got a massive pole arm. I'm doing the... That was nice. Doing this massive pole arm. But there's other heads you can get, like this guy with like horns. There's another one that's kind of weird. Anybody who knows me knows that I will never do that head. What are the paint handles you're using? So these are LED wall scones. They are $5 or sconces. They're $5 wall sconces from Five Below that were sitting up in the baby's room, and I got them originally because I wanted them in the background of my YouTube videos. Only to realize that they just were not working well. So they were never used. And now they are paint handles. Because I was having an issue where my oil painting guys were falling over because my dowel rods were too thin. And weren't super stable. You said there was a lot of gap filling to do. Yes. So a lot of gap filling and like some filing and stuff. So you see this like nasty sort of area here. This will need to get filed down. I don't like the fact that this is all like a recessed weird gap. His head is the most evident of like the gap. Because let me go ahead and drop back into this. So like right here, giant ass gash right in his gums on both sides. This long crack that goes along his head here, on this side as well. Like there's just a lot of prep work that I'm gonna have to go through and do. It's kind of notorious for Parabellum and their larger miniatures. They always have some sort of like special attention that needs to be given to them. They don't fit nearly as flush as other miniatures. I think it's a mixture of like the actual manufacturing. So the manufacturing for those guys probably has to be pretty intense because not only are they large models, but they're thick. Like that whole entire like all the panels and stuff like that on those guys are super thick because they're a larger scale than Warhammer. Sprue goo worked for them. I don't really like sprue goo. I don't know if it was just the way that I mixed it. I felt like it was more of a hassle. So what I end up using is UV resin. So the same resin that I use in my printers, I'll just go and fill that area, hit it with a UV light, and call it a day. If I don't do that, like if I do something else, it would be utilizing Mod Podge. I've used Mod Podge to fill gaps as well. That one only really works for smaller gaps. But like the UV resin, I can gap fill pretty easily and quickly with it. and I don't have like messy strings of plastic that kind of come from it. All right, so all those guys are highlighted. Now we're just going to go in here, do some more quick tapping just to kind of get that highlight to blend in a bit. And then we'll move on to something else. Some good songs coming up today. I know a lot of people that do use sprue goo on all of them, and they are a little bit more proficient in sprue goo, so I feel like it's something that I'm doing wrong, and since I don't really like, I have a good alternative anyways. Um, I think I did this guy already, but there's some areas on him that looked a little iffy, so. Remind an idiot from 9 years ago what sprue goo is. Are we melting some extra sprue into the join? So basically using a plastic glue, like Tamiya Ultra Thin, and bits of sprue, and going through and creating this concoction of glue and sprue, and just ends up being a thick, goopy gluing substance that fills gaps. You can use it on resin as well, because all your, like, you can use it to gap fill resin. All you're trying to do is use it to like cure into that area and fill that gap. I've just never made it where it's been what I expect. Just use the old fine / superfine milliput method. I tried milliput, I tried green stuff as well. I think it falls in line with the same, like, I know there's a ton of people that's the method they use, and that's perfectly fine with them, and they like that works for them. I struggled with it, and it was one of those that I have that 3D printer resin just sitting there. I wouldn't say doing nothing. I print with it, but like generally there's enough in a empty bottle that I can just go and put a little bit of it into a cap and just go paint it into a hole, cure it with a light. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to move on to the different like cloaks and stuff like that. I'm going to get all this green and yellow out of the brush, just so I can work with the red. I'm going with permanent red, permanent crimson, I think. Hold on, what is it? Yeah, permanent crimson. It's the first color that I'm going to go with. Shh. Cats. Cat has done nothing to you guys. He has literally just sat up in that cat tree all night, all day. And no desire to move. This is where that, like, base of green kind of gets a little bit weird. So this is where I almost feel like it'd be better if I went and painted like a base coat down. And it's something that we're going to try on that Rakshasa. I'm trying not to get this on the skin because we did work up that skin quite a bit. And I feel like this permanent crimson will be a little detrimental to it. I did get a little bit of it on the other Kroot that I was working on, like my test Kroot. I did get a little bit on the skin, and I was able to work it out of the skin perfectly fine. So it's not the end of the world. I'm just trying to be a little bit extra careful. I don't want to have to do that. All right. This is when I get into like the little tiny areas, my head does move, and my hand moves.
Now we're digging a hole, that's what we're doing.
I'm also trying to get used to the newer camera, because it's not straight up and down from the model here, which I find easier to deal with, like staying in camera, but it also casts a shadow down on the model. So this one is, I want to get it more over the shoulder cam instead of where it's at currently. We'll, I think this one is fine for now. I just have to stop chasing up in this corner. You do the roar. Slovak needs to do the roar. Slovak hasn't done the roar in a while. I saw you redeem it, but I didn't hear it. Did you hear it? I did not hear it. Unless it's like slow, lagged out. I heard the do the roar. Oh, never mind. I thought you did the roar and then I misread it. Nobody's done the roar yet. That roar. I thought I read that you did the roar, but just reading the do the roar one. That's very confusing to talk about.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Yeah, we do have some new ones.
Well, this is such a profoundly dumb idea.
Do the roar.
I like how quick that one is. It's just kind of like do the roar.
We love the company. The company.
We do love the company. That's a game we need. We need to play Lethal Company. Every time I hear that go off, it's the same comment. Hey, whales aren't that dumb. They are not. I agree. They can be expensive though. But like once you buy them, you use them very, very like you use very little of them.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Who loses? We taught old Cheese was how to do some blurps.
Judge a character.
So he now has blurps on his stream. Sound alerts. There are a ton of new sounds. Problem is, I want more. Like, we've gone through most of them in just this short amount of time. But I want them to, like, kind of mean something and, like, have a good time that they end up getting used. Like, the profoundly dumb idea one, we kind of figured it would be hilarious if it was one of those because one of the things that I say often is this probably isn't going to work, but we're going to do it and see how it goes. And so that was one of those, like, it's a profoundly dumb idea. Because that's how I paint. They are kind of Mama Lion's favorite stream item. So I think the biggest thing that I need to correct on my stream now, one, I need to get an overlay with the, like, actual square kind of cut out in it so that I can see, or so we can have a little bit of a frame around it, because right now it doesn't have a frame around it and it looks a little bit weird. As well as for the palette cam. I also need to get better lighting set up. So I gotta figure out how to get some better lighting in here, because like this red that I'm putting on, you can't really see the red that I'm putting on. I can, but I'm surprised there's not more Wonka themed ones also. She wanted me to do some Sweeney Todd ones. Like the song where he's like, "These are my friends," and I think it would make a hilarious TikTok where I'm like just holding up these miniatures and it's like, "These are my friends." Yeah. I think that would be hilarious. About as sparse as I can with streaming. I learned it doing indie games reviewed in an honest and straightforward way. The more you allow folks to see the content, the better it is. Yeah, the overlay was a recent, like this stream edition, because so this right here is about as far as the camera will go. We'll zoom in. This right here is a simulated zoom in using like the stream software. So, whoops, nope, this is what I want. So this right here is like a 4K version, and it just goes outside of the spectra. I don't know. Agree that a palette cam is a good idea. Ah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Of course, you can't even see me getting the red off the palette cam because the palette cam is a little bit small compared to my palette. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we'll play around with in the stream here. Of course, it's all kind of restricted by money, so it's going to be one of those slow grow things. Oh, battle is ready to begin. Let me go ahead and get this red in here. But I'm no longer using a document camera for my painting camera. That's currently what my palette cam is. Yeah, I need a hub for my 8 gig RAM laptop if I want to use 4 USB devices. It's about 10 to 13 years old. All right. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's go to Stream Raiders here. A little bit more people on here. Right. Let's see. It is 10:46. So we've got enough time for one more here. Just drop this guy right here. Why not? While we were doing these stream raiders, I got started on the last little guy here, just trying to speed up the process a bit. There's only so much of this red that I'm pretty sure you guys want to see me put on minis before we jump into the next step, which is more red. It's just going to be a little bit more fun than watching me slap down a coat of red oil paint on here. So what I have kind of noticed with this one, because like I'm going for a little bit more coverage on this red than I did for the skin tone. This is where I think it would be good to do like a quick base coat of acrylics. And so that's what we're going to try with the Rakshasa. Krootin' tootin' cowboy shootin'. We are painting some Kroot here. How are you doing, Jamie? We're painting some Kroot with some oils. We're doing, this is my little test scheme that I'm doing. So, bird's not done yet. We're still working on the bird. But, yeah, nice little combo here. We've got this super cool little foresty looking base that's gonna go. This one is specifically for this guy, so he's gonna be kind of standing on it like that. Got a nice tree root going through it. And basically these are commissioned. So Old Cheese Whiz commissioned me to paint up this little kill team. The leaves are this Green Stuff World Natural Leaf Litter. So I bought this at Adepticon to try to improve my piece a little bit better before I went and turned it in. And so I bought it at one of the shops there. Oregano, crushed leaves, and birch seed pods. Pretty much. That's what it looks like. I am really enjoying oils. It is kind of become... It has quickly become something that I enjoy and just want to keep doing, keep getting better at. 3 weeks into oils, and I feel like I am at a spot where I can actually commission paint using oils. Like, I feel like I can get enough out of them in order to do that. Shocking to me. Baby then dumped half of it on the floor and some... Oh, yeah. The baby did open it and dumped half of it on the floor. It was quite funny. It's awesome. Your recent stuff has been looking great. Always looks good, but the oil stuff is nice. Thank you. We also have a fun little toy that we get to paint on probably Friday if I can get the gap filling done. So, got this big o huge monstrosity with the Rakshasa tiger head. This was sent to me by Parabellum Games. Also have these ladies. Scooch, scooch, scooch. These ladies, there we go. The Windborn Gin. It also makes the Steel Heart Gin, which I always want to call the Steel Cut Oats, but that's a me thing. If we don't paint the Rakshasa on Friday, we will be painting one of the Gen ladies. It really depends how much gap filling I am able to do and like how prepared I can get that model before Friday. I did just get them today. The Gen ladies are probably going to be a lot easier to put together and a little less gap filling, so likely it will be those ladies, but we'll see. I really badly want to paint that Rakshasa though. The baby is a little bit too smart for her own good, sort of a thing. Like, she is very, very smart. She loves, like, going in there and helping me cook. She doesn't cook yet, she just watches. But she loves to be in the kitchen while I'm cooking. So we just got her a little tower thing that she can stand on while I'm cooking, so I don't have to hold her and cook at the same time. And it's funny because she'll sit there the whole entire time and she'll point at like stuff on the stove and she'll just be like, hot, hot, hot. So we worked on a lot of hot and cold stuff like that. Yeah, for a 2-year-old or an almost 2-year-old, she has an insane vocabulary. But I learned how to wash dishes very early in life, and I learned how to cook very early in life, and it's something that I've always wanted to teach my kids is cooking, learning to kind of obey the world of the kitchen, understanding what is hot, what is sharp, what is out to get you in the kitchen, and what you should be very careful with, and starting that sort of pretty early and having a good watch on things is a great thing. Alright, so now we're going to go through and do our normal dry brush method. And this right here is cadmium red. Just trying to get my baby to stop tipping the dog's food over. Our baby, she used to go over and mess with the dog's food. She doesn't as much anymore. Of course, in my family, we when there is a baby that is trying to get to them, dog food is called meat crackers. So don't touch the meat crackers is something you will hear at my family's house. Mine is obsessed. Ours is very obsessed with, like, watching animals eat and drink. She's very obsessed with animals in general. Ah, great, I just got that on his shoulder. She loves animals. Alright, so let's see if I can get this blend out here. Yeah, it's still a little bit red, but we'll fix it later whenever things set a little bit better. We'll go through and add some more green in there. And we're going to grab the next one. So we've got two very different colors there. If you wanted a very vibrant red cloak, it's a great way to do it. I want to get this one muted down quite a bit. Feel like I need more oils. You have a set that would be great for mixing colors. There are colors that I feel like are difficult to mix too. But at least what I'm doing here, I think you have the colors to make a very similar, but you are like having to kind of go through and mix them. So more oils definitely would help. Word she decides she wants to try and repeat, also amazing. Yes. I don't want to do that guy yet. I want to do one of these other guys. So I actually have some metallic paints coming in. They're going to be a bit, and I didn't realize that they were the 150 milliliter oil bottles, or oil thingamajigs. So, like, I don't know if anybody's seen them, but so this is 37. 150 is like 4 of these. So I will have metallics for days. I did just get this one, but the problem I have with this one is this is a lot darker than what I'm looking for. Have a good night, Mama Lane. So that's actually what I used on the other Kroot guy. So I'll use that on these Kroot. But did I just not finish this guy and set him aside? I'll finish like the Kroot off with that, but I think the Gamblin ones are a little bit more along the lines of what I'm looking for. Also just realized got some red here. Have a good night, Mama Lion. repair this arm a bit. It's got a little bit of red on him. I really want to do this for like a Red Riding Hood, where I just have this like just bold, vibrant cloak and just leave it as a very bold, vibrant cloak. I think you could get something similar with purples. Let me see. I've got, so it'd probably be something where I start with this. My end result would probably be, well, probably should put this in frame. My end result would probably be more in the line of the Radiant Violets, or the Radiant Violet, but depending on which way I wanted the purple to lead, I could probably do the same thing with purple. If I wanted more of a blue purple, I could do like as a mid step. I could probably do like this, the cerulean blue, and then go into like this as a highlight color. This one would probably lend a little bit more towards the red. So more than likely, I would probably do like this with a tiny bit of this cerulean blue, just to start kind of leading it more into the purples. So it would be like a mixture of these two. I guess that would be my process. So Dioxazine purple, a mix of these two, and then Radiant Violet. But depending on if I wanted it more blue than red, I would add a little bit more blue mix to it, and if I wanted it more red than blue, I would add a little bit more red to it. That's what I would do with the colors that I currently have. So you're talking about doing your Metal Boys, right? Your Stormcast, is it? You want like purple cloaks on one of your groups. Yeah, Stormcast going with royal purple cloaks for them. And like that's something where like if I knew that I was going for especially an army, and I wanted like a specific, so royal purple, I would probably go get a mid-tone for it. I need to find a paint. Don't have a good purple. Maybe the ultramarine and cadmium would mix well. Yeah, you can always test it out. Always play around with it. You don't have to do it on a mini. You can also do it kind of on a piece of paper, on a palette. Just see how they react to each other. You know, if I was doing like an army, I would probably try and find a paint that got me there faster than doing a lot of mixing. Because you are going to be doing mixing to try and get the colors, but if you have like a base purple that you want to work from, you're going to give yourself a lot more freedom. Yeah, I need to see if he's got anything on like the swatches, because whenever I first said I was doing oils, he brought out the swatches and was like, oh, make sure and do these, and like I didn't know fully what they were, and I haven't really seen him explain what they were. I could ask, but intimidated to ask. All right, so now we're going to go through and I'm going to grab this Radiant Violet. No, I'm not. We're going to take some of this Brilliant Yellow Extra Pale. We are going for a little bit more of an orangey scoot this up a little bit. I'm going through kind of desaturating this a bit, getting it more into like a bizarre orangey pinkish look. Guess I'm going purple shopping. All right, and then now I'm going to take this. Get a little bit on my brush here, and we're going to kind of come through and hit some of these raised areas. This is how we're going to actually kind of dull out that red a bit, because I don't want it like super bright. I actually kind of want to mute it a little bit. I still kind of feel like I don't have nearly the color selection that I should have. Because I watch like Wapple, or I'll watch Old Cheese Whiz, I know has a ton of different colors, things like that. And so there's always places where I feel like I need a little bit more. Pristine cloak finish up in seconds makes it look so easy. And I haven't even blended this yet. This is just like slopping some paint in. And it really would be seconds for, like, if I was just doing one model at a time. it would be, this is 3 layers of paint so far. I am going to go with a 4th because I am going to go with almost a, like, almost full strength of that brilliant yellow extra pale. Honestly, right now, my main goal is not to make it look perfect. My main goal is to just get the paint on here so that whenever I start to blend it and mix it around and stuff like that, I can then kind of control and get it to exactly where I want it. Rinse my brush off here because I feel like it's storing a little bit of that cadmium red. And I need it to allow me to use a little bit more of this other mixture that I've got here. Tough when we have every color available in acrylics. Yeah, no kidding. Like, the first couple times that I was doing like the oil painting, I was getting so frustrated. Like, I was getting frustrated. Why am I doing this when literally I could achieve this something like this in acrylics when I can't even get like what I wanted in oils. And it was purely because like I was thinking in the mindset of that like acrylic painting. As I got more colors, things got a little bit easier, but it really just came down to like getting stuff down on the palette and just mixing it together just to see what happened. That was a huge benefit to me. Not being scared to go through and mix something and just see what happens. What happens if I go through and mix this with this? I might get a brown, but it might be a prettier looking brown than what I can achieve with like a bottled brown. Is it a brown that I probably have in acrylics? Probably. It's one of those things that like with Jamie doing the 4 color challenges and stuff like that. You're going through, you're trying to make colors with that represent those colors with just 4 colors. And I feel like that's kind of the whole goal of oils, or the whole like pro of oils, is that you don't have a million colors that you have to kind of choose from and say, okay, this one's just barely different than this one. And like, especially when you're talking about recipe painting, people are like, oh, I have this rhinox hide, and you're like, okay, well, I see it there. I have something that's not called rhinox hide. I don't even know what color Rhinox hide is, to be honest. I'm just... But it's like, I've got something that's similar. Is this what we're looking for? It's like oils, I feel like it's a playground. It's just an open playground where they give you... These are paints. Decent brown, I think. Nothing like Kevin. Mama Lion was using Kevin today. Alright, Slovak, you got those. So, we'll leave some of those for, oh, that's not what I wanted. Poor Kevin, always getting used. Yeah, she was using it because she's building this little diorama deal, little kit that I bought her at Michael's while I was there, and the paints that came with it were acrylic paints, but they were just like awful acrylic paints. And so it's like, you do know that you can come grab like the acrylic paints here. Like, yes, they're miniature paints, but they will work perfectly fine. And so she came paint shopping a bit. You paint Warhammer often? I don't normally, but I will be. So this is actually in a line of these Kroot guys. They're in a line of commissions that I'll be doing, where I'll be going through painting up some different kill teams, some different Warcry war bands, and it's gotten me into looking at a lot of other stuff. So not often yet, I guess. Sorry I'm late. Kroot, or Coot Master. They call me Coot Master. That sounds really bad. Really, really bad. Alright, so now we're going to come in here. We're going to do our lovely little tap blending. We're just working on, we've got 5 different Kroot guys right now on the table. We did the skin, or worked up the skin. It's not completely finished, but they're, once we go through and do the pen line wash, I'll see what further highlights and stuff like that need to happen. But we're going to go through and blend out this cloak a bit. Yeah, you missed the whole skin tone and everything, old Cheese Whiz. So Slim Down Turtle Meat, did you have anything in particular, Warhammer-wise, you were interested in seeing? No, I have a family. Sometimes. Yeah, it doesn't help that you're like 2 hours different. Because Because, like, I start stream probably, like, when you're eating. Nope, and I am painting. I'm a painting madman. What are you painting? Are you painting up like all of your half painted guys that you were talking about needing to get painted up? Printing. Oh. Yeah, you did say printing. I read it wrong. We kind of knew that though. You have really taken to the printing hobby. I have 4 printers going right now, and another printer coming in 2 days. Nice. Like the red. Thank you. We're gonna do one more. Um, it is going to be a highlight, but it's kind of one more desaturation technique. Because I do want it just a little bit more desaturated. But I didn't want it to start out desaturated. I want like the shadows of it to be very vibrant saturated colors. And I want, as it starts to get out more, we show off a little bit more desaturation. Could easily start it off with very desaturated from the get-go. I feel like that kind of saturated shadow just adds an additional pop to the mini. I think I see some brown in the skin. How is the new cam? There is a little bit of brown in the skin. A little bit more. Yeah, there's a little bit of brown. There will be more brown once we go through and do. We're going to do a pen line wash of the brown to help kind of further separate things out, make it pop. And that we will be using some asphaltum to do. That's what I did on this little guy here. Give me 1 second. So that's what I did on this little guy. He's got a little bit of asphaltum to kind of help make certain things pop. So we're still working on him. He is dry right now, which is perfectly fine. We're working on the bird. It's pretty much the last little thing that I'm going to do in oils, and then I'm going to actually take a little bit of acrylic and go hit a couple areas that I couldn't quite get to pop with the goodness gracious animals that I couldn't quite get to pop with the oils. We're going to go through and try to tackle that with a little bit of acrylic, and then we'll keep finding ways to broaden the amount of stuff that we do with oils, because I do at some point in time want to get to a point where I can just do every little thing with oils. But I do like the new camera. I think lighting will fix the remaining issues that I have. I'm just excited that I was able to do like this much with oils on a piece. Like we're talking something that like in my mind needs to be just like jaw-dropping in a way. Like something that we paint up real quick that really like gets people talking. They look at it, and like if you were to go up against this group of people, I want people to say something about it. I want people to look at it and just be like, holy crap, that's awesome. And the fact that I'm able to do that and pull that off in 3 weeks of oil painting. I know I can do that in acrylic. It just takes a lot longer to do acrylic. But to be able to do all of that in oils has me ecstatic. All right. So, our next thing we're going to do, we're going to take some of this extra pale, brilliant yellow extra pale. It does have a little bit of red mixed in it with it. I'm not worried about that one little bit. Work on something else where they dry. What? While they dry? Yeah, I still got a little bit of work to do on like getting some like some borders, overlays, and stuff like that. Something I didn't really think about today. I was home all day. Didn't even think about it. Alright, so we are focusing again on the higher spots. This one I have to kind of add a little bit of thinner to this. I know this looks weird. Looks like I'm just going and gooping in random. It will make sense once I go through and start blending it out more. But we are just focusing on these areas that are touching light a little bit more, leaving, like I said, the shadows in there. This is kind of my desaturation method. So we are going through adding some highlight in here that's kind of messy. It looks messy. But once we go through and start blending that away, what it's going to do is it's going to go through and desaturate. It's going to blend in nicely, but it's going to desaturate these kind of top parts a little bit more. So I'm not really mad that it's a little bit on the messier side. And then once we go through and do that blend, I will probably raid out to somebody because I just realized what time it is. In fact, I might just finish up this guy right here, blend that first one just to show you guys, and then raid out. All right, so we're gonna take this clean brush and I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna start working on blending this out here. Get my head out of the frame. Coming in here, tapping away. And while you're doing this, don't be scared to go through and pull, like if an area is getting a little too saturated or like too desaturated. I've got stockpiles of paint in this corner here that I can actually come and kind of move over, and so I can kind of tease some stuff further this way, and that paint is fully like movable. I can just go and move that paint around, and I have a lot of freedom with where this stuff is. So like on this area right here, it's pretty stark compared to like this. So what I can actually do is I can come and take some of this red that's in here I can keep kind of blending and get it to blend that more saturated color in there. So it's less of a stark difference. So you're kind of just watching like where your paint is at and saying, okay, I can kind of move stuff around. I can grab little darker areas from some of these recesses. I can kind of move it around. What you just did was 10 glazes with acrylics. Uh-huh. And even then, if you didn't do it right, it could have been a lot more. So we went from like this to this. That's pretty crazy. And it all was just by going through and doing some tapping. Just tap, 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 tap. If I wanted to, I could take it further as well. Yeah. If I was going a little bit more golden demon-y display, you could even come in here and add a little bit of say it was looking a little bit too bland in a way, where basically it was all variations of one color, because really this is variations on that cadmium red. A lot of cadmium red went into making this. I could go add a little bit of purple in the darkness, like the shadows. I can play around with those a bit and add additional colors in there, or add a little bit of blue in that, in sort of the shadows, to start kind of teasing out some more purple colors in there. And I could go through, play around with it by desaturating it even more. Say I wanted to stick with this same red, but I wanted to tease it out a little bit more. I wanted to desaturate it a little bit more. All just taps away. All right, so we made pretty good progress on these 5 guys. Still got the cloaks to finish up on most of these guys. Pretty good progress. Hopefully the people who jumped into Snod's suggestion, if you added orange to the red, it would affect the brown into in the green. Yeah, oils are super cool. But hopefully the people who wanted to jump in and learn a few things about my new process. We're able to learn the things they wanted to see. Yeah, there's a ton. I don't know. It's just fun. It's fun to do. Who do we want to raid over to? You know what? I have no clue what this mini is, but we're doing it. We're jumping over to Paintwater Sommelier because this mini looks interesting, and I'm down for an interesting mini here. All right. If you guys, well, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. If you guys are liking what you see here, please feel free to drop a follow. I will be working on some Kroot, stuff like that. On Friday, I will be working on this big O monstrosity of a guy, maybe. If I can go through and fill all the gaps and stuff in time. This is my big Rakshasa from Parabellum Games. This is going to be a fun paint, but I've got a lot of work that I got to do on this guy to get him ready. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not super stoked with in the sculpt, but that comes from purely a painting aspect, not a gaming aspect. So, thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you guys again. I will be painting again on Friday, like I said, as well as Sunday. Normal stream times, 8:30 to 11:30. So, thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you guys later.